Good evening. I hereby call to order the July 27th, 2022 meeting of the Gaithersburg Historic District Commission. For our roll call, please answer present when I call your name. Community Planner, Planning Manager Greg Mann.
Present.
Assistant City Attorney Eric Perla.
Present.
And I understand that Planner 2 Chris Berger is watching, but he isn't live yet.
That's correct. He's available online if we need him.
Okay, very good. All right. Next then is Commissioner Rudy Morgan.
Present.
Okay, alternate Commissioner Kathleen Ramirez is on her way.
Yes, she's here.
Well, look at that.
Good evening.
Just kindly say present.
Present.
Very good, thank you. Commissioner and Vice Chairman John Roddy.
Present.
And myself, Commissioner and Chairman DiMattolo says present. Okay, we have a quorum. And next is our preliminary statement, which is as follows. This commission is empowered to meet and act under Article 12 of the City Code of Gaithersburg. The technical qualifications of the staff of this commission and members of this commission are on file with the City of Gaithersburg, are available on request to any applicant, and are hereby made a part of the legal record of each and every application heard today. Each application heard today is considered on its own merits and is not to be considered as establishing precedent for any other application. Okay, does anyone have any conflicts of interest for any application being heard tonight? If so, please raise your hand and verbally indicate so. Yes.
I am friends with Amelia Cessna.
Okay. Very good. Okay, anyone else? No? Okay, very good. All right, there are two meeting minutes needing approval. The first is from our May 25th, 2022 meeting. Does any commissioner have any corrections or additions to the minutes?
No.
Okay, I guess I'll just make a motion to adopt the minutes as written. May we have a second?
Second.
Okay, for the roll call, when I call your name, please say aye if you support the motion to adopt the minutes. Nay if you don't, abstain if you wish. Commissioner Morgan.
Aye.
Commissioner Ramirez.
Abstain.
Commissioner Roddy.
Aye.
Commissioner Ventola says aye, so that it passes 3-0 to 1 abstention. Next is the second minutes are from our June 22nd, 2022 meeting. Does any commissioner have any corrections or additions to the minutes? Do I have to see me? No, I would like to just make one. Greg, if you can relay to Chris, or if Chris, you can hear me. The minutes said something of the nature, because I read it the other day, that said something like Commissioner Ventola asked for drone footage. And I would just like you to add, because it sounded like I was requesting drone footage would be hired to review the campus, but it was really already wanted to see drone footage to now be played. So you can just add that to now be played, just for clarification. Okay, so I'll make actually somebody will make a motion to adopt the minutes as amended.
Move.
Okay, and second. Okay, very good. All right, aye, nay, or abstain to approve the minutes. Commissioner Morgan.
Aye.
Commissioner Ramirez.
Abstain.
Okay, Commissioner Roddy.
Aye.
Commissioner Ventola says aye, so that is 3-0 to 1 abstention. Motion passes. Okay, next then we have a demolition permit application, which is SP 9149-2021, demolition of 4 buildings 50 years or older at 9, 11, and 15 Park Avenue and 201 Brookes Avenue in the CBD Central Business District Zone. May we have an introduction from staff, please?
Yep, and good evening. Staff is before you tonight for a continuation of application SP-9149-2021. The HDC held a public hearing on the concept site plan on June 22nd, 2022 for the demolition of the buildings at 9, 11, and 15 Park Avenue and 201 Brookes Avenue in accordance with section 24-231 of the City Code. 20 members of the public spoke at the June HDC meeting. There were 15 exhibits entered in the record at the time, including the staff report. The HDC voted to defer the application to receive information on the nursing museum that was at 15 Park Avenue, additional information on the Diamond family affiliation at 15 Park Avenue, additional information on the Myers family, and any extra information available on any of the former residents. Since the public hearing, 11 additional exhibits have been added to the record. These include the Gray and Poppy Heritage Management Addendum Report that includes the additional information requested, a report on the Myers provided by Judy Christensen, and additional research on the property owners of the subject properties provided by Joanne Adams Sesma. And with that, with the additional new information, staff maintains its position that the 4 buildings that are not eligible to form an independent district, collectively all 4 buildings lack the historic and cultural significance and architectural and design significance to meet the criteria for designation under section 24-226. The integrity of the 5 lots was destroyed when the building at 13 Park Avenue was demolished in 2008, leaving a vacant lot in the middle of the collection of buildings. Staff maintains that 15 Park Avenue appears to meet criteria for designation under section 24-226, sub I, sub triple I, for its association with the Myers family. And in staff's opinion, none of the other 3 buildings associated with this application meet the criteria for individual designation. And then joining us tonight is Carrie Albee of Gray and Poppy Heritage Management, who can speak to the additional research they provided, included within Exhibit 19. You're welcome to come up to the podium.
Good evening.
Welcome.
My name is Carrie Albee, and I'm an architectural historian with 25 years of experience. I am also the architectural history practice lead for Gray and Pape Heritage Management. You met my colleague at the last meeting, and I have joined you this evening to speak to some of the questions that were raised and also to speak to the additional work that we did since the June 22nd hearing. The first thing that I would comment on is that as architectural historians, we were specifically asked to, and we are specifically here to comment on potential significance. A number of other areas of concern and interest were raised in the June 22nd hearing. We will not speak to those. We leave those in the capable hands of the commissioners. First and foremost, I think it's important to reinforce the fact that as professional consultants, yes, we are paid for and were paid for the work that we did, but we were absolutely independent in our assessment. And from the outset, I had no pre-existing relationship with the applicant, and from the outset, we made it very clear that we would go where the information and the research took us, and the applicant was comfortable with that. And had it been otherwise, we would not have accepted the job. So that being said, we were not in a position to conduct exhaustive research, nor are we ever in a position to conduct exhaustive research as consultants. There's always a pocketbook that puts limitations on that. But what we did do, and what I feel comfortable asserting before you this evening, is we did undertake a reasonable and good faith effort to identify potential historical significance of the 4 properties under the local criteria. You all are familiar with the findings of our initial report, and of course as was indicated this evening, staff agreed with our findings with respect to the 3 properties other than 15 Park. So in responding to the questions that were put forth in the June 22nd hearing, we have conducted additional research, and rather than changing the body of our report, we chose to put an addendum to that report so that it would be clear in the record what we started with and how we responded to the additional information that we uncovered. Specifically, there were 3 areas that we investigated: the Chenevert Nursing Museum, the association with the Diamond family, and the role of the Myers family with respect to the property and potential significance given their position in the local community. As hopefully you've had an opportunity to review in the addendum, we did not find any additional information that changed our findings from the initial report. We did find some interesting things.
Ma'am, if I could interrupt you.
Of course.
I didn't swear you in.
Oh.
If you could please raise your right hand.
Of course.
Do you solemnly swear and affirm under the penalties of perjury that the testimony that you gave and will be giving is nothing but the truth? Is the truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
So the association of the property with Chenevert Nursing Museum, which again was interesting, but not such that that it would elevate the association of this property to individual listing under the local criteria. The diamond connection obviously was very interesting. We did take a keen interest in trying to determine whether it was the Diamonds or the Myers that built the property. And one of the things that I'm not sure we had an opportunity to say on the June 22nd hearing is that I think probably most of the people here know that the Diamonds, obviously very high profile residents of Gaithersburg, but also owned a ton of property and were very much speculative in their investments in real estate during this time of growth in Gaithersburg. So the specific association between the Diamonds and the property was in and of itself not special, not to the point where it would merit significance for its association with the Diamonds. So then it really came down to the issue of the Myers family, which again, it's a very interesting story. And I think we've enjoyed researching it, and we've enjoyed reading the information that has been pulled together by the public, and very much appreciate that. But what we keep coming back to is the phrase influenced society. We continue to feel that although the Myers story is a very interesting one, the association of the Myers family with 15 Park is not, well, the Myers family is not, does not rise to the level of having influenced society, while a very interesting story. We also, you know, as an architectural historian, it would always be our preference to definitively pin down a date of construction and the property owner at the time. We've talked a little bit about whether it's 1914, whether it's 1921. As we said in our report, we put circa 1914 because although we have map records, although we have tax assessment records, we really could not find, nor do I think any of the additional information provided this evening, definitively pins the construction of the building to the Myers family or for the Myers family. It is a beautiful house, it's an interesting house, it's an interesting story. But whether or not it was built for the purpose of demonstrating the influence specifically of the Myers family and the status of the Myers family in Gaithersburg, that is just not definitively determined. So with that, I will conclude my comments, and I thank you for your time this evening.
Well, thank you very much. Okay, welcome back. Or would you like to add anything?
Do I need to be sworn in first?
Yes,
Yes.
please. Do you solemnly swear and affirm under the penalties of perjury that the truth that the testimony you will give will be the truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please state your name for the record.
My name is Matthew Bonin with Gray and Pape. Thank you, Mr. Chair. At this time, I have nothing further to add.
Oh.
But I am sure at some point I will make comment, so I figure it's just easier to get it out of the way now.
I think I walked into that, didn't I? Okay, thank you so much. All right, I guess next then is the public is next. Public's now invited to speak. In-person participants, please line up at the podium to be sworn in. For those wanting to speak remotely by Zoom, tech team, please play the video.
Good evening. If you've connected to the meeting tonight via Zoom and you're on a desktop or a laptop and you wish to make a public comment, we can't currently see or hear you. What you need to do, please, is wiggle your mouse around and look towards the bottom center of your screen. You should see a raise hand button. Go ahead and click on that now for us, please. Alternatively, if you've connected in via telephone, you can press *9.
Okay, we'll take the public who is here first. If anybody wishes to speak, please line up. Okay, hold on. First, please state your name and ready to be sworn in.
Judy Christensen, 6 Walker Avenue.
Do you solemnly swear and affirm under the penalties of perjury that the testimony you will give is the truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, before we begin, just because last month went a little bit over on time and many participants, you guys are all given 3 minutes if you like to speak, up to 3 minutes. There'll be, the clock will start, it'll beep once at 30 seconds left. So when you hear the beep, please begin to wrap up. And so when it comes down and goes down to the final 3 minutes, it'll start beeping, and within 2 or 3 beeps, I'm gonna just stop the person speaking, so please wrap up, try and wrap up on the 30-second mark. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. Yes, I did appreciate the work done by the consultants. They did everything that I would have done and started. Well, I did more. And I was rather determined to find out what these people were all about and what they could have contributed to Gaithersburg. And I found out quite a bit, I thought. First of all, they built that house, I believe, in 1922 when she got a building permit. Oh, and I meant to offer this to you to show. And build it probably shortly after. Although I have to say...
I have a question for you.
Yes.
When you said they, can you mention who you're referring to? And you said the diamond, or can you refer to who you're referring to when you said
The
they?
diamond.
Okay, all right. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, they didn't build that. They bought it.
Okay.
But what I was talking more about was they bought the property that is now 15 Park Avenue. And in 1922, Mrs. Myers got a building permit. And as I said in these abstracted minutes, the city minutes did not tell you an address. I don't even think they had an address. They often would say it's on such and such street. That's about as far as it got. And but that's the other building that they purchased at that time was Nichols Harness Shop. So they had quite a bit of property, and they improved that building. They also bought other properties, including the property which now has Center Market on it. They built that building in the late 30s, and after they sold it, it was Lawson King that added the second story. So, but my thrust of my think was that they actually did contribute a lot to Gaithersburg and probably influenced quite a few people. For one thing, Judaism was not acceptable in many parts of Montgomery County and was restricted. And that's what they were trying to get away from when they came to this country. But as a person who was a trained rabbi, he didn't have enough people of his faith to either organize a congregation. So he didn't have the opportunity to work in that field. He worked as a business person. But he still, when I interviewed Sidney Katz, I said, what could he have done? He said the same thing we did. He told people what it was like, what they needed to do, what the rites were like, what the rituals were like, and so forth. And I think he made, it acceptable to be of another faith, and that in Gaithersburg. And I think that's exactly what happened, because the Wolfsons said they had no problem. Anyway, I disagree. How many others here have their grandfathers in a museum? and how many of them have their family treasures also on display and in a collection like that? I think that alone is significant for their contributions to Montgomery County and to Gaithersburg. Thank you.
Before you leave,
Do you have any questions?
Do you guys have any questions for her? Do you have any further questions?
No.
All right.
Well, thank you so much.
Okay.
Okay, anyone next? Welcome back. Please state your name and wait to be sworn in.
Amelia Barrett.
If you could raise your right hand, please. Do you solemnly swear and affirm under the penalties of perjury that the testimony you will give will be the truth and nothing but the truth?
I do. I just want to thank everyone again for listening to us, and I agree with. I want to thank the consultants for their work, and really thank Judy and my mom for putting together a lot of the historical information about all these properties. I think the letter that I submitted, you can read the more details, but there's a couple things that I think are important to note. One is that it's up to the HDC and potentially the council to decide who has influenced the Society of Gaithersburg, and I think that's important to remember, that that's what your service is here for, to make that decision. So I think it's not up to any of us to say, but it's up to us to give you the evidence. Second, the information I submitted in my letter regarding all the master plans from Gaithersburg, there's some very important points that are made. I'm not going to go through all of them here, but I urge you to review that. In terms of the influence of society, and I don't have access to all the records regarding the Brewster Lipscomb house, but I looked in like the HPAC minutes from the year 2099, and I have to say that it doesn't seem that family influences the Society of Gaithersburg or the region any more than the Myers or the Walkers at 9 Park and other families. So I think that's really important. What it looks like from the notes that I have read, which may be different from, there's obviously many more in the city records, that what made the Brewster Lipscomb house, which backs up to my alley, historic, was that the work they did to preserve it. And that is potentially possible with these houses too, that if the work to preserve and restore these houses occurs, if the owners are willing to do that, then that's possible to designate. And I think we should all work together to urge them to do that. In the Harris Construction website, they highlight the historic work they have done at Strathmore Mansion, at the old post office. They have the capability to do that, and I think we should all work together to urge that. I think that's really important. And the other thing is, these buildings, there's businesses in them now, but many families have lived in them. It's not just a business here or business there. Many children were raised, people worked out of those buildings, ran their businesses in the city, and I think that's important to remember.
30 seconds. Okay. If you want to speak further? No? Okay. Anyone else? Please feel free. Welcome back. Please state your name and wait to be sworn in.
Michael Sesma, West Riding Community.
Can you please raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear and affirm under the penalties of perjury that the testimony you will give will be the truth and nothing but the truth?
So swear. Thank you for the opportunity to speak, and thank you for, again, reconsidering this based on the information that many of us felt was inadequate to make a decision at the previous meeting. So, it is a bit different being on this side of these discussions after having served for 16 years and reading many reports from and recommendations from the Historic District Commission and what it was before. There are things about the process that I think concern me. I think they concern me as a member of the council, but probably concern me again in terms of the independence of the consultants who provide these historical and archaeological surveys. I think probably, the council should consider another way to approach this, perhaps having the developer pay for an independent assessment, but independently selected by the Historic District Commission or the city staff, something like that. Notwithstanding the research that Gray and Pape did and their team did. Certainly, I think we've heard an admission tonight that it was not exhaustive research, and certainly some of the additional information provided by people who submitted additional information, who sent additional submissions in, provided further research that's available. I think what's significant here is the people who built Gaithersburg. We take great, I still say we a lot in terms of this city, okay, but we residents and we elected officials take great pride in the identity of Gaithersburg and the historical significance of Gaithersburg. A lot of that is people, because the historic resources, the places where those people resided, the places where those people owned, the businesses they owned, etc. Many of those aren't there. So we have limited resources in the city. I'm familiar with practically every historic and potentially historic resource in the city. There's 3 of them on this street, on Park and on Brookes. So I think it's reasonable to consider not just certainly I think there's at least 2 of the structures that have architectural significance and certainly should be considered there. They would probably qualify then to preserve. So meaning that the commission should deny the demolition permit. I think the historical significance of individuals, if you look at the report that my wife submitted, there are many names that are familiar figures in the history of Montgomery County that began their lives in Montgomery County, in Gaithersburg, with some of these properties. And I think it's important to bear that in mind. So that's my remarks. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you very much.
I have a question for you.
You have a question for him? If you wouldn't mind, we have a question for you.
There's 2 questions. The first one is you talked about the process that concerned you. Can you elaborate more on that? Give them more detail. It seems like you have some insight about the process. And the second question, you said 2 of the property has architectural significance.
I think,
can you tell me which one and why?
Well, I think the commission identified those 2 properties in the last
but
hearing. That was 9 and that was 15.
Yeah, but I want to understand. I want to get you.
Okay, so it was 9 and 15. I think several members of the commission pointed out the architectural significance. You described them as jewels, as outstanding examples of the architecture of the period. And there are limited examples of that within the city. So. You know, those aren't my words, and I can't quote you directly, but it was something to that effect from members of the commission. In terms of the process, I think I've told you. I think, we rely on the applicant to provide an evaluation and assessment of historical and architectural significance, and maybe the appropriate process would be for the applicant to pay for that evaluation, but for the city to select, or the city staff, whatever, to select an independent auditor of that kind of evaluation. So, you might end up in the same place. That's fine. Yeah. But I think we can be much more confident that the city has paid for the independent, or not the city, but the city has obtained an independent audit.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Okay. Anyone else from the public?
Just a comment on this independence of the...
Hold on, please. First, please state your name and then wait to be sworn in.
Do you solemnly swear and affirm under the penalties of perjury that the testimony you will give will be the truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Since are you representing are you the applicant?
I'm the applicant.
Right, so I'm not going to put a time limit on you. Please feel free to speak. I'm not going to put a 3-minute time limit on you.
No, I just want to comment on something said about the independence of the consultant. The list of the consultant was given to us by the county. This procedure is in place for many years, and we picked one consultant from that list. And when Mr. Sesma was in council, even then this process was in place. Now all of a sudden he has an issue with this. He never changed it. The reason is some personal reasons. People change. That's what happens in politics. So let's just strictly look on the merits of the case. The merits is that we have an independent consultant who knows the subject, and they have given us their own study. So let's just focus on that. The rest is all. Let's not look at the other stuff. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. Anyone else? Feel free. Anybody else? Okay, I see here no one. Okay, can we go to anyone who is waiting on Zoom?
Yes, you have 2 people who are waiting to speak. I think it was the first one was Martha. I think it was Kearney. It's blocked now. Yep, Martha Kern.
Welcome. Can you hear us?
She is muted, it appears.
If you could hear us, we think you're on mute.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to hit the button.
That's okay. Please state your name and then wait to be sworn in, please.
I don't want to say anything.
Oh, okay, very good. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right, anyone else?
And there's one more, Joanne Adams Sessions.
Did you say Joanne?
Yeah.
Can you hear us?
Or Joan, I apologize.
Joan, I'm sorry. Hello, Joan?
Okay, I think I'm here.
Okay, please state your name and then wait to be sworn in.
Yeah, Joan Adams Sesma.
Okay, very good.
Ms. Sesma, can you please raise your right hand?
Yes.
Do you solemnly swear and affirm under the penalties of perjury that the testimony you will give will be the truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Wonderful. Please begin.
Okay, as I said, my name is Joan Adams Sesma. I have lived in Gaithersburg since February 1995, having lived in the same house all these years. I already submitted a statement and my research on these properties and the people who own them and lived in them or use them for business purposes. My question tonight is this, and it's for Chris Berger or for the city person whose name I didn't recognize there. And the question is, who is the staff in the, quote, staff analysis? Who does that staff analysis, basically?
That'd be Chris Berger, our store preservation planner.
So Chris Berger is the staff person when on all the places where it says staff analysis.
That's correct. He writes the staff analysis for the city, for the planning department, for historic preservation projects.
Okay, that's fine and interesting. The reason why I ask is because it just seemed to me that the staff analysis in every case is a quote from the Grand Pape report, sort of regurgitating everything the Grand Pape said, and it just felt like the staff was not doing their own research; they were just using that. So that was my concern. That's all.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, anyone else on Zoom?
That is all.
Okay, anyone else that are present who would like to try and speak? No? Okay, yes.
Sir, if I may?
Yes, by all means.
I just wanted to, since Mr. Berger's not here, I did want to say that he did do some independent research on the Myers family and did share that information with us.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you so much. All right. Thank you. Okay. All right. Next then is, I guess, the commission. So let's hear from the commission. Rudy, you'll be up first, but let me ask Commissioner Ramirez, did you get a chance to review last month's hearing?
Not completely, no.
Okay, so do you want to abstain from, okay,
I
very
would.
good. All right.
Thank you.
We still will have a quorum though. All right, so Commissioner Morgan, you're up first. Would you like to ask the applicant any questions and also state your thoughts?
My thoughts have not changed from last time. I think it was hearing on June 2nd, particular to Park Avenue 9 and 15. I think the question that came up, and then we kind of captured that in the notes, was that if 915 can be considered as historical destination. I'm looking at the basically the impact and importance of these buildings, particularly to the structure based on the design, the material, the form, the style, the workmanship. I think 15, in my opinion, should be considered as a designated historical building. The consultant and the folks from the community have elaborated extensively on the influence of the Diamond, the Myers, and somebody mentioned the Walkers. And again, the owner of these homes have some impact of importance in society, the influence of society at that time. So that should be considered as well. So basically, I have not changed my opinion from the last time. So basically, I can come back and give more, but I'll leave time for the other commissioner to state all their comments. But that's the main thing that I want to bring up.
Okay, and you don't have any questions for anybody?
No, I don't
Okay.
have any
All right.
questions. Yeah.
Commissioner Roddy?
Thank you. I would like to begin by thanking Ms. Albee and Mr. Bowman for providing a much more detailed research to assist us. It has been very helpful, and we appreciate it. I also would like to say I appreciate the sensitivity you showed when you contacted Ms. Schenevert. She's somewhat fragile at the moment, and your sensitivity is certainly appreciated. We don't relish, we as a commission don't relish these decisions about destroying these older houses. And for that reason, we hesitate to rush into any of these matters. But I also want to say that I think the commission appreciates the in-depth research also done by the authors of Exhibits 24, 25, and 26. And I would invite your attention specifically to Ms. Christensen's discussion in Exhibit 24 of why she thinks 15 Park qualifies, meets the criteria that we were discussing at length last month as a cultural and historic resource. Specifically, that the Myers built the house, or had it built, as an expression of their success and their respect it is due to them after years of essentially swimming upstream in a community that wasn't entirely accepting. Israel Myers was indeed a person of influence, not only in the Jewish community, but I think in the Gaithersburg community itself. His family certainly was committed to Gaithersburg, the community, and they worked to be accepted and promote diversity over the period of years. The house itself was one of the only early craftsman style, I meant to say, and a rare example of a brick house at that time. Exhibits 25 and 26 say similar things about the other three houses at issue and why they thought they deserve to be viewed as part of the fabric of the Gaithersburg community for their architecture and their historicity. Even if each of the properties is not significant on its own, I think you could view them together as a perfect cross-section of Gaithersburg in its various periods of development over the years. I am aware that the commission sent before the city council not too long ago a suggestion to deny demolition applications for a number of properties that were together on East Diamond, and the city did not agree. Perhaps they will feel the same here, but I think it's time that I swim upstream myself, and I'm not in favor of granting these, certainly not for 9 or 15.
Okay, very good, thank you. I'm next and last. Thank you everybody for the extra information that you guys provided since last month. It was a wonderful amount of information, and I greatly appreciate it, and I think I speak for everybody on the commission that is here tonight and those that couldn't be here tonight. I can say that the Gray and Pape update was extremely helpful to me. You guys really researched heavily. I can say to the applicant that it definitely mattered to me, and I did not see it was sided just with the purchase, with the client, with their client. It definitely was crystal clear to me that they did the extra research and found information that was helpful to me, and they did come with their conclusions. I also found highly valuable Ms. Christensen's report, extremely powerful. To me, based on last month's information that we had, just helped add to that. Both reports did add to the information that we need to make a decision. But I'm going to point out to Ms. Christensen's report, because it really, like I said, underscored the things that I believed at the time or heard at the time. And so she gave in a report all the reasons for the historic nature of the buildings, as well as the historic nature of the Myers themselves. For me, both matter, but in this particular case, the architecture mattered more to me than the history of the family. Family was important. I do think that they contributed as a resource or contributed to the society for the reasons that were already pointed out. But for the architecture, I'm going to hit the 2 points that mattered most. For architectural and design significance, according to Secretary of Interior Standards, she cited number 5, that embodies the distinctive characteristics of a type, period, and method of construction. And so when I read what she's about to say, I thought that this was crystal clear to me why this particular building should be saved. She says, this is the first substantial craftsman-style design houses in Gaithersburg, and one of only 2 in Old Town Gaithersburg. It stands out as unique and imposing. There is not another house of this massing and style from the era in the Old Town of Gaithersburg. It's not only, to me, beautiful architecture worth preserving, but it is unique in that it was, you know, one of the first substantial craftsman style. Additionally, in another report, I guess a letter to the commission, Ms. Christensen also just relays that this particular house, and we're referring to 15 Park Avenue, the Myers house, that it was unique and largely intact, a brick residence that is one of only 2 substantial brick houses in Old Town from this era. So those things matter, other than, I'll say, to me the most important thing is it's a beautiful piece of historic architecture. It really is. Then you add to it that it is unique in these particular 2 cases. And then you can also add, I will not minimize the contribution that the Myers had. And I will just read two thoughts from the report that, you know, stuck out with me. One of them, she says that the life of Israel and Anna Myers and their contributions on the religious knowledge and acceptance of Judaism in Gaithersburg is evident, I think, both in several reports, but I think it may have been mentioned in the Gray and Pate, but I also know it was in the records that Ms. Christensen included in her report. And so she refers to that as evidence of the recognition by the museum, which is significant because they just don't take anybody in a museum, and so that matters, as well as the contributions to local businesses in the community. Their success and influence have been recognized and institutionalized by the Jewish Museum of Maryland and Baltimore. And then I guess lastly, in reference to the significance of the Myers themselves, in a letter to the commission from Ms. Christensen, the last paragraph says, Joanna Church, the former curator of the Jewish Museum of Maryland, said of Israel and Anna, and this is a quote from Joanna, I am confident in saying that the Myers family belonged to the first group of longtime Jewish residents in the county and are definitely an important part of both Maryland and Montgomery County's Jewish history. And everything that I read, particularly in the report, but information from several people in their report emphasizes that, and I fully believe that based on all that. So to me, 15 Park Avenue, like I said, architecturally alone to me, I believe should be maintained, saved. And then, similar to what I said last month, 9 Park Avenue is also a beautiful piece of architecture. The detailing on that, I don't know if I've seen it elsewhere in the city or even other buildings outside of the city. So those two, to me, are certainly gems, and I will use that phrase. As far as 11 Park Avenue, the mayor lived there 23 years, and I think that is significant. But the architecture, to me, isn't something I would go to fight for. And 201 Brookes Avenue, same. Somebody mentioned last time that there was a plaque on the building, and they were going to, whomever was going to look into that. Does anybody in the audience have any information on the plaque of what it said or what it was for 201 Brookes? Yes, please. You have to please come up to the mic and please state your name again.
Okay.
You're still under oath. Please state your name.
Amelia Barrett. I have a picture of it. I think it was submitted in a previous thing. I mean, I can email it. It just says City of Gaithersburg. I'll look at my picture and send it. But Susan may have more. Yeah, she's not sure. But there's a plaque on the front of the house, which is interesting because why would there be a plaque there? But the city should have records if it was ever actually designated. I don't know if it has.
Well, we don't think it's designated, but what I'm afraid to say is I believe we're going to be making a decision tonight. So unless somebody has information on that, please state your name.
Susan Zanna?
Were you sworn in before?
No.
Okay, please.
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear and affirm under the penalties of perjury that the testimony you will give will be the truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes. All I can say is that I do not know what the plaque said. I think it said it was historic or something, but then somebody said it wasn't real. So I'm not sure.
That's okay. No,
My
thank you
father's
very much.
property. I didn't see anything in the documentation.
Yeah, I don't know who it was, but last month somebody mentioned it and said that they'll see if they can find
Yeah.
research on it. If there's no research on it, then we just won't use that as information tonight, that's all. Okay. All right, so then, let's do Commissioners Open Forum. Jump in, say your final thoughts, or you
I
can
want
ask
to add
questions.
something to what you said. And I want to focus on workmanship and craftsmanship. Just given the time we're in construction, design and construction, where I would call hybrid, composite, and prefab sequencing and approach to building. Everything is made in the shop, and they just bring it and install it on the building. And looking at particular 915, looking at the style and workmanship, you can appreciate during that period where people actually put time into their building. I mean, they really make it a beauty, you know, the time and effort being placed in his structure. I think that makes it more of an architecture, give it an architecture and significance to that period of time. So I mean, I think that should be taken into consideration. It's a landmark, basically. It's not something that you see every day. It's not something that's being duplicated. You can't duplicate this kind of craftsmanship. You get me? So I think just again, I understand from a business standpoint. The gentleman that spoke. There's one thing that you want to demolish his property so you can build something else, but we need to consider what you're demolishing. And these structures are part of the culture, part of the community, part of the fabric. You can just start tearing it down, and particularly 9 and 15. And again, we have a job to do. It's very difficult to hear the business side, and I know, as you said, the city may disagree with us, but we have a job to do. So I mean, just demolishing these structure, and again, particularly 915, that's something that I just cannot reconcile right now. And it's just based on the facts that have been presented by the consultant and the people from the community. So that's what.
Okay, thank you. John, anything further?
No.
Before we go to a vote? Okay,
I sent the plaque picture to Chris Berger, just so you have it. Or I can show you on my phone. I know it's not that.
can you read it?
Chris, actually,
Could you do me a favor, though? Please come up to the.
Chris did text me during it. It is a marker, historic marker, but it's not, wasn't issued by the city or put up by the city
Okay.
to the
Do
best
you-
of our
Can you
knowledge.
read it for
I don't
us?
have it.
I'll show you. It says.
Are you able to read it?
City of Gaithersburg, 1934, historic property.
Okay,
Who knows where it came from, but
Okay.
just relaying the.
okay, all right, well, thank you. Okay, yes, please come up.
The city had a marking program, I'm still under oath, okay.
And you're
The-
really only referring to this one issue?
Yeah, I
right?
am,
Okay,
I
thank
know.
you so much.
The city had a program where it sold plaques to people who had historic resources, and you just bought them.
Wonderful.
And most of the people in the historic district have them.
That's
And I
wonderful that
suppose
they
they
did
just wanted to buy that one too.
Okay.
So John Roddy may have one. No.
Okay, thank you. All right. All right, all right, so next is a vote. So, we have 4 houses to consider. Well, I'll hit them each individually, and then in the end, I'm gonna hit them collectively. That is, we're going to vote on whether or not we want to save, or essentially, we want to vote on whether or not we have a belief that there's a good chance that the city council will designate these individual items. Is that correct, as you know it?
Correct. I just wanted to make a clarifying statement as to something I said in the last hearing. I remember that Mr. or Commissioner Feinstein inquired as to this commission's ability to expand the historic district, namely the Brookes Russell Walker district. My response to him was that the code was silent, which is technically true. However, section 24226, which deals with historical designation, impliedly gives this commission the ability to make a motion to expand and include properties into existing historical districts.
Wonderful, thank you. Now, in this particular case, though, the applicant already has an application in for these. So having a historic district potential, aren't we prevented from doing the historic district expansion itself, or pulling them into the existing historic district?
As opposed to?
Well, as opposed to without having any application in before this vote. The application's already in. So there are limitations of what we can do from what I understand.
I was just clarifying that the commission has the ability to do
Yes,
it.
okay.
Perhaps not necessarily with this one, but.
Got it. Okay, very good. All right. Okay, very good. Anything further before we vote? Okay, all right. So let me just ask, I presented the idea that we're going to hit each 4, and then we're going to hit the group of 4. Is that acceptable to you guys to do those 5 votes, or should we just limit it to each individual house? Your vote on that?
My thought would be, might it not make more sense to vote on the 4 as a group?
Well, that's why I'm
first?
saying, well, okay, if you want to do that first, okay, I don't care. Do you want to do
I
that
agree
first?
to
Okay, we can do that first if
group
you
them
want.
first,
No
yeah.
problem. All right, so both are in agreement that we would hit the group of 4 and then take them individually.
Based on the application, based on the request, yeah.
Okay, all right, so that passes 2, and I'll just abstain because it doesn't matter to me. All right, so for withholding all 4 demolition permit, our recommendation to the city mayor and council is that we believe that, this is the question, we believe that all 4 are worth preserving. And all 4, we believe that they would have reasonable expectation of preserving all 4 at once. Okay.
I would say yes, because in my view, it's a perfect cross-section of the various
All right.
architectures.
So that's what you're saying is your vote?
That's right.
Okay, all right, so you vote yes, okay. Commissioner Morgan?
Yes.
All right, Commissioner Ventol is gonna abstain, so it passes 2-0 that you guys wanna do all 4, all right? So now, based on that, Do you think that it makes sense for us to go and, actually, I'm gonna suggest that. It makes sense that in case the mayor and council do not want to withhold all four,
Right.
let us vote on each four individually. All right, so 201 Brookes. Do you guys need a picture put up on the screen
Yeah,
so
sure.
you know it?
Yeah.
Can you guys put up
That would
201
help,
Brookes so we can see it,
Refresh.
so we're not.
I have them in a different order if that's okay.
I'm so
Let's
sorry.
start with 9 Park.
Sure, anything you want.
It should. There we go.
That's the yellow
You had a better shot?
Oh, yeah.
That's not, okay, there you
That's
go,
9.
perfect. Okay, there you go, all right.
That's
Yeah,
9.
he wants to start with 9.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah,
fine.
that's fine.
Starting with 9.
Yeah.
Okay, so your vote now, do you believe that the mayor and council has a likely possibility, likely chance of designating this property?
Yes.
Okay. Commissioner Roddy?
I agree.
Commissioner Ventola says he agrees as well. So that passes 3-0. We fully believe that. All right, next then?
11 Park.
All right, 11 Park. Okay, so do you, I'll start with you now, believe that 11 Park has a very likely chance that the mayor and council will will designate that property?
If I could ask council a question?
Sure.
Were I to abstain, what would happen?
The vote, there wouldn't be enough of a vote to pass it. Because Commissioner Ventola, or Chair Ventola would abstain, Chair, or Commissioner Ramirez would
Yeah.
abstain, there would only be one vote for, so it would be denied.
So, but there's enough for a quorum, but you're saying that 2 votes won't make it? Or you're saying
No,
one
yeah,
won't?
one vote.
Well,
Yeah.
how come? I'm just curious.
He's presuming that you'd abstain as well.
Yeah, assuming that, how does one vote not work? I'm just curious.
I feel like there's four commissioners on board right now, and if only one votes for, then it wouldn't pass.
I'm just curious, is that law? I'm just wondering, because I would think that if there's a vote and it's in the majority, regardless if it's 1-0, wouldn't that pass? I'm just curious, I'm not challenging you.
The abstention's not a vote. It's either a yay or nay vote. So without having a majority of yay or nay votes, you can't, it won't pass. It's a,
Oh, I see what you're saying, 1-1 doesn't pass. I didn't understand that, got it, okay, all right. Okay, so were we with you? Yes.
I would not be in favor of demolition of.
Okay, so you're a nay, that you don't believe that the mayor and council will designate 11 Park Avenue?
No, the reverse. I think they might.
Okay, so wouldn't that be a yay that you want to withhold you want to
Yes,
withhold the demolition?
correct.
So it's yay, you want to withhold demolition on 11 Park?
Abstain, I've read it. 11 Park Avenue, I don't see much of an architectural or historical.
So you're going to abstain on that?
It looked like a regular building built every day
All
around
right,
it. So.
and I'll say nay, because it does have significance with the mayor, but that's it to me. The architecture to me is nothing that I would believe, that I would fight for. But the other thing is I don't think the mayor and council would vote for that. So that does not pass. Next then, would it be 15 Park?
15 Park Avenue, yes.
All right, so a yay vote means that we believe that the mayor and council will designate 15 Park Avenue. So I'll start with you, Rudy.
Yes.
Okay, Commissioner Roddy?
Yes.
Commissioner Ventola says yay, so that passes 3-0. Next and last is 201 Brookes.
And unfortunately, I do not have a group photo.
That's okay, that's perfect,
Yeah.
but that tells you. All right, so Commissioner Roddy, yay is if you believe that the mayor and council are likely to designate that property.
In the interest of consistency, yeah.
Yeah, that is consistent. All right. Commissioner Morgan?
Can I have a different view on this building? Well, okay, thank you, I see this. I'll say yeah.
You say yay, all right, and Commissioner Ventola says nay. So that passes 2-0. So according to this, the Historic District Commission believes that the mayor and council is likely to designate 201 Brookes Avenue, designate 15 Park Avenue, designate 9 Park Avenue, and designate all 4 of them. So that is what we voted on, and that's what we will send to the mayor and council. Now, can I ask you guys, Greg and Chris Berger, can you accelerate the letter from the commission to the mayor and council? We have 30 days to do it, but in the interest to help the applicant.
We will have a draft available for the commission's review at the August meeting.
Well, that's 30 days, though. That's a month away. Is there any way to speed that up in any way?
No, and the council actually is on recess in August, so the earliest this can get in front of council is September.
Oh, my, all right, okay. They're on recess now?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. All right, anything further from anybody on the dais?
We do need a motion.
Oh, I thought we had that. Okay, so a motion to,
I could read a draft motion if that would be helpful.
you bet.
The Historic District Commission, based on the exhibits submitted, the applicant's testimony, the staff report findings, and recommendation, determined that 1, some or all the buildings over 50 years old located at 9 and 15 Park Avenue and 201 Brookes Avenue do meet criteria of historic and architectural significance as specified in section 24-226 of the City Code, and direct staff to prepare a draft resolution and to petition the city manager to initiate historic designation.
Did you say, in particular, I would say, please add to it if you didn't already, 201 Brookes individually, 15 Park Avenue individually, 11 Park Avenue, I'm sorry, 9 Park Avenue individually.
Okay.
Okay. All right, so the motion is made. Second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, that will be 3-0. I say aye as well. Okay, so motion passes. So kindly write the letter on our behalf. And I guess you can send it to me. Do we need to vote on it as a commission?
Yeah, Chris,
before it gets sent out to
the staff will draft a resolution for the commission's review at the next meeting.
Okay.
The commission will review that at that meeting, and if everything looks good, it will be transmitted to the council for the decision.
Wonderful. Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much. Okay. All right. So next on our agenda is discussion topics, which is the update to the rules of procedure. May I have a presentation from, is it City Council?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir. So we, at the last meeting, or at the last several meetings, we have discussed instituting changes, drafting changes to the rules of procedure for the commission. And we have come to a consensus as to newly drafted rules of procedure. For the most part, they are minor modifications as to format as well as typographical issues. There are 3 major changes that I will direct the commission to. The first is the submittal of exhibits prior to scheduled hearing. I can read straight from the proposed rules of procedure. All interested parties shall submit all exhibits related to an application no later than 48 hours prior to the hearing scheduled for the application at issue. Any exhibits, whether documentary, pictorial, or video in nature, that are not submitted in accordance with this paragraph may be presented to the HDC at the scheduled hearing on the record. It shall be the sole responsibility of any party intending to introduce exhibits pursuant to this section to do so at the hearing during the time allotted for public comment. Second is the rules of evidence. Prior to, I believe, me coming on and advising the commission, testimony was not given under oath. We've included that under the rules of evidence, that all testimony shall be given under oath. And then number 3, was, and the commission has been doing this, but it wasn't directly stated in the rules of procedure, that the chair, in his or her discretion, may impose time limitations on the presentation of evidence and testimony at a hearing in order to facilitate the orderly and expeditious conduct of the hearing. And that would wrap it up. Other than that, it's very minor grammatical and typographical changes.
Wonderful. All right. So do you need us to vote on it?
Yes.
Okay. Do you guys have any questions or changes that you want to have made to his document?
No.
The attorney's document.
No.
If you can't believe your attorney, who could you believe?
That's exactly right. Right. Okay. So then open for a motion to, what is the phrase I say, adopt?
Does a motion to adopt the updated rules and procedures.
Motion to adopt?
I would make such a motion.
Okay, second?
I second.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, that's 3-0. Pass it. Oh, you may vote.
Aye.
Yeah.
That's 4-0. Thank you so much.
You've done well.
Thank you.
Motion passes. Okay. Very good. Now, next then is from staff. Anything from Greg?
Nothing for me tonight, thank you.
All right. Eric?
Nothing.
Okay. Is Chris on the line? Does he want to say anything?
No, I don't think he has anything for tonight.
Okay. Anything from the commission? Rudy?
No, ma'am.
Kathleen?
Nothing.
John?
Nope.
Okay, believe it or not, I always say I don't have anything, but I do tonight. The thing that many people pointed out to us, which was wonderful in this particular issue, is that the process that we currently have, I believe, I should say may, allow a building to be demolished without site plan even being approved. And so that is something several people brought up, and I have to say that I do find that to be problematic. Now, it's not something that we as an HDC have any control on. It's the mayor and council, obviously, their own rules, whatever. But I do think that they can, in the next meeting, vote to override us, and then it could be immediate, and it usually is. They want to demolish immediately, and there's not even a site plan approved at that point. So
this application did come before you tonight with an associated site plan. Now, we've decoupled the site plan from the review to...
But was the site plan approved?
No, it's still being reviewed, under review.
That's what I'm getting at. That's what I'm getting at.
So there's no requirement under the city code that a site plan has to be included with a demo permit.
That's my point. In the end, they can deny. Look at the hair bar. That thing's been sitting there, it's been 5 years, at least. It was, the old mayor was still here at the time. And so if that was demolished, we'd have nothing but a demolished site, which is one of the worst things a city can have, is empty, demolished lots. That's the sign of a city in decline. So I believe we should somehow at least put that in front of the mayor and council, that you should really consider coupling them. That is, no demolition allowed until, first get the historic district commission's input or whatever. But then their final vote, in my opinion, shouldn't come unless there's site plan approved at that point in time.
So the mayor and city council does not review demo permits.
Right.
The only demo permits actually become before an elected or an appointed body is for a structure over 50 years old, which is historic district commission's review.
I understand that.
Typically, a demo permit in the city gets reviewed by a commercial permitting team or a residential permit reviewer.
I'm saying there's the hole in the system. If Hair Bar was torn down because they had the ability to do that at one point in time, it would sit as a vacant lot even today, because right now you can see nothing's happened to the thing. No changes. They were talking about it for years and years and years. This thing goes back 12 years, if I'm not mistaken, that property. And so my point is that is there anything we can do to have that loophole, I don't know if that's the proper term, eliminated? That would be horrible, to have this building, these 4 buildings demolished, and then the site plan doesn't get approved after all. Then what do you do?
Yeah.
All these buildings are gone. So what can we do? I guess it's food for thought, because you guys don't have.
We'd
an
have to
answer.
explore it a bit more. I mean, there's issues with the property rights that we'd have to explore from a legal side of things. I mean, again, I don't know if the city can stop someone from demoing a structure just because they don't have a site plan, but it's something we would have to look into a bit further.
Can I know I didn't want to say anything, but I just want to kind of piggyback on what you said. I think it kind of gave the community distrust in kind of government, because they sit here and they have interests and concerns in their property. I mean, they live in the community. The gentleman that spoke is a businessman. Once that permit, that application is approved, they're gonna tear the buildings down. He lives in a different community. They can put a parking lot. They can just leave it vacant. And it doesn't bring any value to the community when you do that. I think we should be giving some, as you said, we're giving motion to suggest a destination. I think we should be giving some motion to suggest some consideration when they're doing demolition. If the developer is not going to develop the site for like 5 years or maybe 2 years, and put some structure there, they can put something there that will bring value to the community temporarily until they build a structure. You can just put a parking lot there. I think we should have some kind of suggestion that this property have to be used at this particular time before you do your reconstruction. Because if you just leave it as a parking lot, people can just gather there, just walk through it. Homeless people can just take possession of that space. People can just hang around there. I think one of the applicant that came was talking with people walking the property, walking across. You give a chance for those things to happen.
Yeah,
So I
well,
think,
remember that 13 has been vacant for years, 10 years maybe.
Yeah, so I think we should take that into consideration.
So I think at the heart of it, like Greg said, would be a takings issue, right?
Exactly.
To prohibit or otherwise impede a property owner to do something with their property, like demo or like Mr. Morgan said, to or make sure that they build something onto their property. I don't know if that would be the case. However, the city council could review and perhaps modify the procedure by which I guess is what the chair is talking about, the procedure, by not allowing a demo permit to come before, or perhaps making it a contingency to get a site plan approved prior to the demo permit. I'll definitely discuss it with the legal team. Sure.
That would be wonderful, because it wasn't our idea. I wish it was. It was really something that several people brought up, and I couldn't agree with it more. That you mentioned that it would get turned into a parking lot. I'm not even opposed to parking lot. I'm worried about it turning into a vacant lot.
A vacant lot, yeah.
And that's the thing, because I grew up near an urban center, a suburb of an urban center, and there are still places in that urban center that are just buildings were destroyed and never rebuilt, and it's one of the worst areas to go through, because it's no man's land. It's like, you look at World War I photos of the Somme, and then you go and look at these, dilapidated sections of the cities.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm saying that's one of the worst things you can see in a city. To me, it's a city in decline when you have those properties like that. So, a legal issue. It's absolutely a legal issue on the takings. But would it be, acceptable that it had a contingency to issue the permit, the demolition permit, until, or even adhere for the demolition permit until the site plan's approved?
Right.
So, okay, well, see what you can do, because I really do think it matters.
I'll get back to you.
Well, thank you. Okay, that's it. Anybody else for anything more? No? Okay, we are hereby adjourned. Thanks, everybody.